just do what we supposed to do. We shut it down. Shut us it down. Yeah. Shut us it down. Yeah. We just do what we supposed to do. We shut it down. Shut us it down. Yeah.
Oh, just got the word. Guys couldn't hear me. Mic's off. There you go. All right. Welcome back to Here Labs Live, guys. It's RT, your host, on Tuesday, July 27th. And the markets, you know, despite what today's candle might think, the Chinese market's coming off, the NASDAQ, oof, everything's looking a little red up close. But I'm looking at the Bitcoin daily chart. I'm looking at the Bitcoin 4-hour, and I'm feeling better than I did last week. Let's just put it that way. I'm just going to leave it there. And that's mostly the only market I look at. We may have a trend breakout, a high time frame breakout on the RSI gives me great hope for the next little while. Hope feels good. Doesn't make you much money, but when you're sitting in a position, which I am, spot long from the range lows area, not the exact range lows, unfortunately, you know, those dips that come right after that insane pump we had on Sunday. I was actually driving. Well, my lady was driving. She's my DD now since she's having a baby, so I can have a few pops. And yeah, I was sitting in the car just like, holy shit, we're going up. We just tagged whatever it was, 38K, 39K Sunday night. Yeah, I wish I was sitting at home, seeing it happen. There were some nice quick SR flips, could have flipped into some leverage and whatever, blah, blah, blah. But it was really nice confirmation of what I had seen last week, which was that the RSI on Bitcoin had been looking like it was ready to break out. Just give me a quick heads up, guys, if the music is too low or too high. We're going to flip over to the charts here in a sec and leave it in the dust. Have that music just running in the background today. Just gives nice vibes. That's what we need. Yeah. Okay. So if you're staring, and that's the thing, like if you're staring, Boomer says he literally witnessed the 10K candle on Binance futures. I couldn't believe it. I mean, perfect. Audio balance seems good. Thanks, guys. All right. I'm going to flip over here to the charts. Look, there is a lot going on right now. Let's just be clear. You know, CZ Binance mixing it up, apparently saying I'm not stepping down, but we're always looking to hire. Sounds like he may be getting a role shift. And, you know, from his description, all for the better. He mentioned the idea of, you know, presidents get 4 years, CEOs should have 5. The idea of keeping things fresh. And the fact that the guy is probably just a filthy, stinking billionaire, and I don't think he sleeps. Probably wants to go and enjoy some of the fruits of his labor while still participating in being sort of an evangelist for the Binance and Binance Smart Chain community. I'm all for it. And I think you got to go and enjoy yourself after you've done some hard work and some great success. And I'm sure he's going to get a bit more of that. I'm going to say what up to these guys over on TradingView. Good to see you guys. Welcome to the stream, everybody. Great to see you here on Tuesday. It's a little off the usual schedule this week. First of all, I'm going to start doing more streams in general. I'd like to take the time to do that. This week in particular, though, I am flying off to the mountains on Thursday, right after that FTX charity poker event. Hopefully after. Suddenly there's like 200 people in it, and it starts at 8 a.m. and my flight's at 3. So it's going to be I'm going to have to take everybody out before 2 p.m. or 1 p.m. anyhow, so that's what the end of my week looks like. So I am shifting the stream from Friday to today. But let's go over to the charts, guys. We've got a little bit of news to talk about. Apparently, I say apparently because I haven't read the full story just yet. Apparently, Yellen is going to be doing some Yellen tomorrow about cryptocurrencies, regulations, and all that. Personally, I'm not too worried, and I will tell you why. First of all, historically, crypto has been used by all kinds of people who don't like to be seen, don't like to be heard or known. I don't want you to have my information. I don't want to pay my taxes. I want to operate outside of your system. Fuck your system. That's been somewhat the vibe for a lot of people. And that's, do your thing, whatever. But the real money, the real floodgates of capital in the world, the trillions of dollars that are floating around the world that we're all fired up about, that's like, oh yeah, Bitcoin, everything, DeFi, it's all going up. Well, I got news for you. A lot of that money is not going to touch this stuff without regulations, without things like insurance, without the okay from the boss. Imagine trading a $50 million account at a prop firm and saying to your boss, yeah, I would like to go and make a deposit to exchange.io.unregulated. Sorry, sir. Go fuck yourself. You're fired. You just can't touch it. And so in the short term, I agree when somebody on Twitter, they mentioned, they said, well, when Bittrex had, up to 100 Bitcoin withdrawals, they were very popular. And then when they said KYC only, full KYC, blah, 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 their volume went to shit. In short term, I think that is the case because for the most part right now, a lot of the money in the space would rather operate outside of regulations. Sure. But we are going to see a shift and there will be some champions through the door. For example, Bittrex. FTX is moving in that direction. Binance now announcing that they're going to be moving in that direction. And once that starts to happen and we get onto the other side of that and the real money starts to flow into these more regulated, sort of above board, compliant exchanges, then that's where the money's going to be. And I think we're going to see a shift. Short term, I think it is going to cause a lot of people to withdraw, a lot of people to try to avoid KYCs or regulations, and it may be a nice bid for DEXs and DeFi. So I'm keeping an eye on DeFi. We'll take a look at things like SushiSwap, Uniswap, 1inch. Are they going to get more volume now that, for example, Binance is talking about capping withdrawals at 0.06 Bitcoin, which is like peanuts. I mean, especially if, just say you have like a couple Bitcoin on an exchange and you want to make some money, like if you want to move your money around and stay nimble and get into a DEX for a trade and then get back, and it really does mess you up, especially if you plan to make money and turn that 1 or 2 Bitcoin into a little more. So I do think that's going to hurt them short term. But long term, and I've been saying this for a while, we've been talking about it on DeltaFi, I really do think that the players who manage to capture that regulated money flow, that capital that's on the sidelines waiting to get into crypto, they're going to be the real winners. And once the perhaps shadier exchanges, or the ones who are trying to kind of hold out and capture the heat right now in that unregulated, un-KYC kind of environment, they may cave and switch over. Eventually, the lowest friction and the highest profit will go to those who play ball. That's just what I think. That's my assumption. It's not about, oh, I want this, I don't want this. It's just what it is. So not too bearish on news about that, although short term I could see some volatility. Let's take a look at Bitcoin on the chart. This has been the range. We're still in it. We're trapped in it for a while. Swept the range highs. Very quickly came and swept the range lows. Tested range EQ. It looks so easy when you look back at it, right? Dripped down painfully over the period of basically, almost 2/3 of a month, about 20 days, right down in basically dropped out of the range, right? We just dropped out of the range, retested, dumped, and then just sat here for a little while. And at the time, that was the 88.6, right? The fib up to here. That was basically our 88.6 if you look on a line chart. So, and that's where things got really bleak. There was a lot of people just saying, exit all crypto markets, we're definitely going down. And then it was just the pump, reclaim 32, chill, and then we're off. And an epic short squeeze ensued, which most of you guys are probably aware by now. So the real question is, what now? I know this stung yesterday. I was actually offline a lot of the day. I caught some pretty bad news, so I had to kind of sit out, not touch my trade account. Don't worry about me though, guys. It's all good. It was just somebody I kind of knew somewhat distantly. Found out they passed away. I was like, oh, fuck. Don't trade when you're emotional. So I stepped away for the day, and I saw that when I was going to bed last night. I was like, God damn it. But, 4 hour. What do you want? You want an $8,000 candle straight up, and you don't want to go see the 382? It's probably what we did. Let's go take a look. I'm going to draw that fib up from here. See if we hit it. If we front ran it, that's actually pretty bullish. Let's go see pump chaser zone. Boom. Ooh. Cheeky little front run there. And that's what I like to see. If we continue from here, obviously if we continue from here, it's very bullish no matter what the hell that just happened at the 382. But if you see these like cheeky little front runs here, that to me is typically very subtle bullish signals. And I always go back to vet. Usually you get that tag, right? You get the tag or you drip into here. Sometimes you even sweep the 0.5. But for a continuation, usually you have that contact. So when it gets front run, pay attention. That's a subtle bullish signal that makes me think, we could be heading higher. Now, let me tell you what, this is my primary view of Bitcoin right now. This is what I tell myself, just so I don't get caught up in like the disbelief phase, right? Because you go through this almost like its own little mini cycle. We could line this up on the market cheat sheet, and you would see that complacency, and then the panic and anxiety, and then the thing, and then slipped into depression, and now it's almost like we're coming up. It's like this rally will fail like all the others. That's what I see here psychologically. I feel like we just went through a mini psychological cycle. And so for me to not get shaken out on this dip, because in fact, I want to be adding on that dip, because I can risk to these lows. And if we have to puke out some more, I can re-add later, or I can just chill the fuck out and stop trying to overtrade. Right? But I don't want to get shaken out, for example, last night on this, where I just say, ooh, I wish I sold at 40. It was like a range highs. And then, I don't want to do that. I don't want to overtrade this. I was loading up through these lows. I think the last buy I made was at 34. Like I was like mobile on the weekend. I was like, fuck it, I'm buying more. And after this candle, it was kind of clear. I admit I was away from the chart this weekend. In retrospect, it wasn't ideal. But yeah, like I just aped into one more back here because I was like, fuck it. And this is it. This is my view right now. And so I'm trying to avoid overtrading this, unless I want to get my scalp count out and get a little futures going. But look at this. This kind of blows my mind. It's the RSI basically on the daily has been trending down since January. So we opened up the year. We had our quote unquote bull market, right? I mean, it was pretty bullish into January, obviously, and even through a lot of the latter part of 2020, but it really took off in January. Well, since those peaks came in just after New Year's, this RSI has been trending down. In other words, the momentum in the move had been slowing / reversing. And so once this broke out last week, I just thought, damn, that's a signal that is more than just, ooh, we're going back to range highs. I mean, that's a 7-month downtrend in momentum that is now just shifted. So do I want to set myself up to like be selling if we do that? Or anything like that where it's sort of a retest of that breakout, which could also just be, So that's my quick kind of high view thinking on Bitcoin, where I'm at right now. And I do think that there's great significance in this particular RSI breakout. So I am not in a rush for the spot that I accumulated. I'm not in a rush to get out at range highs. Now, I would like to trade the range. It's still a range. That's part of why I was buying at the lows. I was trying to say, oh, well, it's a ranging market. I'm going to buy like it's a ranging market till it's not. I'm not going to call breakout downtrend when we're clearly not in a downtrend. Well, depending where you look at, I guess. But the 4 hour is what I've been trading, and it's a range. So range broke, range reclaimed. Let's get long. Now, that's kind of my spot right now for Bitcoin. So if I want to trade through here, my plan is to do it entirely on futures. My spot long positions that I accumulated through the low 30s, I feel like there's a pretty good chance that they're going to be a gift. Now, does that mean we can never go lower? Hell no. I'm not saying that. But for the foreseeable future, I think we're done with this pullback. for what it's worth. That's my positioning. That's sort of where I'm at. Now, I love this Gann target, the sort of take back half the move in half the time. I think that for me is going to be a big target. Also, we've got the 200 moving average, which I'll be watching very closely. As you guys know, I've been talking about for months. A big part of why I was comfortable picking this up through here, or at least what I would tell myself, is that the odds of us touching this 200 moving average, wherever it ends up meeting price, would be higher than where I was buying the Bitcoin. So that in and of itself, I was just like, I think I can buy some here. And just because, of course, after the death cross, everyone talks about, right? Oh my God, there's a death cross. But if you look historically, most of those death crosses, selling on the day is just emotional. It's stupid. It's a lagging indicator. And if it is going to turn into a bear market, or if it is going to turn into a higher time frame, longer term bear trend, you can often get out on the retest of that 200 moving average someday. So the odds to me that picking up down here would eventually get to sell on that contact, wherever that may end up being, we're pretty high, like over 80%. So that's a big part of what we've been talking about on the show over the past few weeks. And so I will be looking at that for a partial exit on a trade, because that was the plan. But let's see how it looks when we get there, if we do. I want to see probably some like waning momentum, maybe a little bullish or bearish divergence, lower time frames. Like if that kind of shit's rolling over, falling off, definitely liking this sort of 44, 46 area to be thinking, just to maybe pull a little bit of my spot exposure down a bit, take it down a little. Not like an exit all markets kind of thing, because the last thing I want to do is pull that off, because I am very long-term bull and even mid-term bull in some ways. And rebuy up here, which is like the short reload zone, right? So, right, that's up in that short reload zone. So I don't want to have to be like selling here just to buy here, which is actually where I should be hunting shorts, if anything, because it's just a good trade. I mean, like, I'm going to risk, 14%, but then you have like all the bearish downsides that people have been talking about, right? So if I'm doing anything up here, it's hunting for shorts. Up into here, I'll be watching momentum. We'll keep an eye on it together on show. But that's kind of where I'm at with Bitcoin. Let's check the chat. Remember last week, I was on studio mode, looking at the charts, didn't check the chat. Everyone's like, hey, you're not sharing. Dexes for US people will now use the maximum daily withdrawal for Nance. Yeah. Got some scammy snood. I actually didn't pick up any snood. Pancake swap. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. Dexes will pick up in the short term as this kind of compliance. That's going to be the knee-jerk reaction, right? I'm moving everything off. I'm going here. And that's cool. And it may be the case that regulators try to catch up with them. I heard the other day that some of the synthetics were being taken off of Uniswap's front end. Of course, the protocol runs independently on the back end, but it's, they're touching everything right now. And the big floodgate, the one that I'm waiting for, that $10 trillion total market cap shit, I don't see that coming with all operating in the shadows illegally outside of compliance and regulation. I just don't see it, at least not soon. I think regulation is going to be short-term bearish, maybe. But it's going to be the springboard that makes this shit go mainstream. And I'm sure there's going to be some shadowy corners of crypto that always end up operating outside of that, whether that's, privacy coins, like whatever exchanges. But do you want to put your money on there? Right? I'm actually happy that Binance is trying to play ball, because if they were just like, throwing everyone the finger, that's where you end up with that like FBI website seized. So the fact that they're sitting there having conversations, operating, trying to help them out, like work with them, that's probably really good news for anyone with a lot of money on that exchange, for the record. So yeah, Bitcoin obviously driving the bus right now. We can see on Bitcoin dominance that it is ticking up back above that key level. So let's see if I can just remove this over here. So when you have the low, set this high, higher low, and then we made a higher high. This is the weekly. That was a structural reversal for me. That's where I just said, okay, I'm really thinking, heavy Bitcoin here. I'm not trying to be in too many altcoins. Of course, I have, against all my better judgment, begun accumulating certain shitcoins along the way, because it's just what I do. I just look at charts and I'm like, this looks good. But if really a good time to be thinking in Bitcoin terms. Maybe sushi. Let's go check sushi. It's not the chart I wanted to see. It's looking really good. Let's take a look at sushi. So versus USD, that rejection yesterday was pretty nasty, actually. I was like, it was looking great when this candle was coming up. You're like, damn, if that closes, that's your bullish reversal. But, the USD chart looks decent. You're thinking, okay, maybe it'll trickle lower, but it's down in the reload zone. It's showing signs of reversal. There's some buy volume bubbling up. But then I go look at the sushi Bitcoin chart. Doesn't look that hot. Doesn't look nearly as hot. Obviously, I have it drawn up here from the stream the other day where, we were looking at what would a reload zone up to 0.5 look like. But let's take that off and just look at this a little bit more objectively. This does not look bottomed. It does not look, like it's put in a base. The other one doesn't quite either, to be honest. Both are a little premature, perhaps. But this thing's barely just getting in there. It's sort of forming its first support. So versus Bitcoin, right? We talk about liquidity cycles all the time. Typically, they start with Bitcoin. Bitcoin rips faces, everything else shits out. Then, ETH catches a bid, then some of the majors. And it doesn't always have to be that way, but that's the way it has always been thus far. So I think we're in for some Bitcoin dominance recovery. The next key level I think to watch closely will be this 20 weekly moving average. You can see price kind of playing with it over the last couple of years. When we finally took off into this alt season we had this year, it was the fail against that caused it. So remember earlier this year, if you guys have been reading the newsletter, at herolabs.io, totally free, you can sign up at the bottom. Dominance should tag 20-week moving average sometime this quarter. This is what I've been sort of staring at for a while. I think this was up here at the time. So here we are about 7 weeks later, and it is going to happen sometime in the next week or two. And so the question is, how do we interact with that? Do we break through? Wouldn't be shocked at all to see us come up and test this resistance, this downtrend line. And the good news is, hopefully, that would happen in the wake of a rally in Bitcoin, right? Like if Bitcoin breaks out later, maybe into Q4 or September, whatever that looks like. If Bitcoin really breaks out, don't really have a great high time frame chart, but like if we just get out of the mud here, where's my color? Yeah, well, we'll be yellow, I guess. Just whatever this looks like. If Bitcoin ends up just continuing on this year, alts are going to they're going to trade off to Bitcoin, and that's part of the cycle. That's part and parcel for the course. Anyways, all that to say, I am being cautious with new altcoin bags as we're seeing the strength and dominance tick back up. Of course, there was always this idea that, maybe we'll just consolidate sideways and shitcoins will shift into DeFi and Bitcoin will shift into, ETH and all these things. But more and more, it is looking like this reversal is going to play out, which I would expect it would, because that's the way I do the TA. And then it's just a matter of how far, how long. And if you've been around for some other bull markets, it can get really painful, right? From July 2017 until peak bear for the altcoin versus Bitcoin pairs. I mean, we had, from July to December, basically, of altcoins just getting destroyed while Bitcoin shot up. So you were not only not on the Bitcoin train, you were losing Bitcoin value. Maybe you started the bull run with 5 Bitcoin, and by the time it hit December 7th, when ETH BTC finally reversed, you might have been looking at your 5 Bitcoin looking like 1.6 Bitcoin. And then, of course, you don't have the stomach at that point to disperse into full altcoins, which is where you should have been. So if we're going to get into that, and not to be a bear versus altcoins, but I do think we will. I really do think that this will reverse and squeeze more people than they'd like to be squeezed. And let's just pray that that's Bitcoin going up and taking dominance. Because Bitcoin dominance up while Bitcoin price goes down is like the worst case scenario. I don't see that happening, but for what it's worth, it's on the table. So we manage the risk. Can we still long? I am pwned. You can long anytime you want, bro. Should you? Well, that is the question you're really asking, so I'm just being a dick. this is a tricky spot to be long, right? And you got to ask yourself, if you didn't have the stomach through all of this, if your plan didn't get you long around range lows, and this is why ranges will drive you crazy, right? I want to short. I want to go long. I want to short. Oh, we're going down. I want to go long. And you're on the wrong side of the range every single time. So if this is going to be a continued range, this is not a place that I would long, personally. If I'm trading this range, my longs came in last week, puked them out here, rebuy them here, we're off. If we're going to be a trend, and we're going to really get up into the nitty gritty, let's go find the weeklies. Where are my weeklies at? There we go. Okay, so this is sort of my weekly view on Bitcoin that I've been sharing through the newsletter. Let's get this like a nice fresh view. I got to remind myself to do this too, just make new charts once in a while, because sometimes I just get so stuck looking at the exact same image and I miss new angles. But I haven't looked at this in a while. Let's take a look. This is sort of the weekly view. I mean, is this where you want to long? Even just from this perspective, it's like, okay, we're coming up into weekly resistance, a very key level. Watch this weekly close. A close above this would be incredibly strong. Not like insano, because we did put in a lower low. So you want to get that higher low and then the breakout. But it'd be really nice to see a weekly close above 39K. But I've been saying since we broke down that it makes sense to me when you lose a level like this to come up and retest it. That's just the way markets work in my experience. So when all this is going on, I have a really hard time taking on short exposure or selling, right? I think it was the breakdown from 42 or whatever that was, that I finally just kind of ate shit and sold a lot of my stuff. Where was it? I was trying to long it. And then when it broke, I think it was right here. God, looks so long ago. It looks so tiny. Where was it? Yeah, there was a level here. I was trying to long this, and when this broke, I just freaked out and sold all my shit. And then sort of like, not everything, right? I held my ID, I held some other coins, but like that's where I did my most to like, oh, it's a bear market. And then if I want, I can't short through here. There's just no, unless it's like short time frame or whatever. The point being is, if I'm going to call bear, if I'm going to say, well, now we're a bear market, that debate on the chart, that argument typically happens up here at the breakdown point, where you have your sort of M top. Why is this yellow? Is it yellow today? I don't like the yellow. It's weird. It's very like banana. I do like bananas. Okay, so right here, right, you say, oh, it's an M top. Here was the structural fail where you're basically like, okay, fuck, like total weekly market reversal, not bullish trend anymore. Arguably, that kind of hinted right here. And this was our beautiful complacency shoulder, but whatever. So having said that, typically it's this breakdown point retest that you'll get all the bears showing up. If we're going to be a bear market, right? That's where they'll defend. You'll have the debate. We'll go down. We'll run out of sellers. We'll find buyers, and the buyers will start to outnumber them, and then we start to move back up. And this is where the most important conversation has to happen between the bulls and the bears. It's going to take some pushing to get through that. But if we do, it's like, hey, we're in a bull market that could be lasting 10 years, right? We could just be in sort of like an up and sideways thing for a while. We may, people are like, no, it's always going to be a 4-year cycle that goes up this much and comes down that much. Oh, I don't buy it. I think we've been what we've been in a certain state, and I think things are changing. So if we're going to be into like an up and to the right type market, like we were post Amazon after the initial bubble, that's great. I'm not trying to live in this 4-year cycle mindset so that I get locked into like, oh, I'll just buy back in 2 years. That's too risky. So we're going to trade the levels. I was longing and hunting longs down here because I want to believe, and that's the only trade I could see the risk reward on. So far it's working out. I'm not getting out of it until some of the levels we talked about today, and ultimately this is the sexy zone. So there might be a trade in there. Going back to your question, is it too late to long? There might be a nice little trade here where we flip that level, right? There's an EQ trade around lingering. If we do pull back into some of these throwback levels, let's zoom in a bit. Because that's the question. I will acknowledge that a lot of people watching probably are not long from range lows. It was not an easy place to long. It was an easy place to be in stables and just feel better about the bearishness. And so now, of course, you're stuck with that position. And this is why I did it. This is why I was trying to get, because I just said, I don't want to be facing this decision up here of like longing, right? or whatever. The decision actually gets harder, oddly, as we move up. So, you know, this is pretty weak right here. This probably gets filled in someday. Do you want to wait for that? Get into this kind of 32. That's probably my invalidation, like below 32, and I'm like, ah, shit. It was fun while it lasted. I'm out. But that's pretty deep. That's pretty deep pullback. I don't think most people want to see us lose range EQ. They'll probably flip bearish on something like that. So the best I can say right now is we had a pump, and this is the pump chaser zone. So let's draw it on. So if I'm casually like, ooh, I wasn't spot long, but because we might be breaking out, you know, we'd looked at that daily RSI breaking out for the first time since January. Those kinds of momentum shifts in the market. Of course, we've got on-chain analytics pointing towards larger wallets accumulating while the shorter-term holders were all puking their bags underwater. That's pretty standard. But it is very promising to see a number of different whales, you know, picking up bags here. Not, you know, of course, you always have this crazy thought, like, what if they're buying it just so they can dump the next level and buy it back even cheaper? Like, yeah, okay. It's possible. But they're accumulating on-chain. And that's a good sign for this kind of puke, this sort of midsummer. Yeah. If I was a betting man, I'd say the second half of the year and beyond looks pretty good. So how do we get in? Well, there's the pump chaser zone lingering sort of in and around this range EQ. I think that is an obvious next area of interest. You've also got a really nice level here forming on the range. All right, support, breakdown, resistance, kind of a fake out, resistance, resistance. And we've just blasted through it. We haven't tested it yet. It's perfectly aligned with this node on the VPVR. It's perfectly aligned with the 0.5 of this pullback, taking back half of this move. So that's 35K. That's a really interesting level. And that's not rocket science. I think there's a ton of people looking at that level. But yeah, that's probably where, honestly, that's probably where I'll add. I may look to add there. I'm not like all in or anything. So I have room to add, and I probably will. And that's kind of like the idea of like, let your winners run, right? We had this kind of, whatever you want to call this, falling wedge. As it turned out, I looked at it, I was like, oh, damn. With a breakout RSI. So if I feel like, ooh, I was right, you know, it broke out, we're moving up, then let your winners run, add to your winners kind of thing. I'll be looking at 35. I am away this weekend, but I will have access, and I may set some alerts. I might even just set some bids with spot exposure, add to that. Obviously not going to take on any like crazy leverage while I'm trying to travel and enjoy a bit, but that's the idea. 8 million market cap pump just commencing. Tom Walsh. Okay. Yeah, the NFTs are going crazy right now. I mean, I talk so much about Bitcoin because I see dominance coming up, and I think especially in times of uncertainty, it tends to drive the bus. But man, some of these gaming coins, oof, feel like I'm missing out a little bit, to be honest. I do have some. Picked up some little stinkers, but I don't have like the big three. You know, that Alice this week waking up. I was looking at it. Ooh, I was looking at it. Don't know why I didn't get a little more serious about it. This market, as much as I want to be like, ooh, I'm sharp and I'm all over it. Like, I've been a bit of summer doldrums myself too. Kind of like, spot long Bitcoin, go out and play golf. Like, I've been taking it a little bit easy, admittedly. Trying to like reconnect with some things outside. With COVID kind of lightening up, but now maybe it's coming back. So I'm like, oh, fuck, is there another lockdown? I got to get outside. So I will admit, I've been doing a bit of that. But Alice is looking decent. And all things considered, you know, that's looks like the start of a really nice uptrend. It's kind of crazy to me when you have Bitcoin in this sort of no man's land, potentially, and then spreading myself out into a whole bunch of different things. But Alice is definitely, you know, like this dip really last week was one to pay close attention to. That's the kind of thing you love, right? You see the uptick in volume, you see the sort of break of a key level. Well, not quite, but it's this reload zone. Shouldn't we have been watching this? Oh, perfect reload zone. Always easy after the fact. But let's see. Alice. AXS is just on its own planet right now. Just moving. It is in a zone where if it wasn't sort of for the revenues and fundamentals and the fact that the Treasury is holding on to all the AXS for now, at least they were a week and a half ago when I last read about it, this would be an area where I'm like, oh, interesting. I mean, I'm certainly paying myself my first initial take profit if I had been long through this, up around this fib extension. And this could prove, looking back, to be a really obvious place for it to reverse, or at least, take some of the move back before it continues. But I'm not really rushing to short this one. Because of where I see Bitcoin going, because of, this is a 3-month death. So if we've just broken out, which it looks like we have, volume picking up, RSI, blah, blah, blah. If we've just done that, then the first dip, the first week, it's not where I'm rushing to short things. Even if they did just go whatever they went, 900%. There will be times, yeah. Ro Jogan hooking me up with the alpha the other week. He shilled me on Shroom at the end of the show, just dropped it in the chat, said a few things about it. Let's go see how it's doing. Ooh, yep. Nice, man. Appreciate that. Thanks, brother. I had a wallet kind of off the radar that I forgot about for a little while, and I had a couple of Ethan I'd been trading shitcoin dog tokens with, very late to the party though. God, a couple $100 in SHIB would have been a few $1 million. But no, I joined late, at the end of the dog mania, pure FOMO top buying shit. I was like, okay, I'm going to stick a few Ethan here and just play completely AP with that and see if I can grow it. Well, I did 2 trades. Saw Vitalik Buterin euthanize the dogs through his wallet. And then I basically just left that wallet alone. Sold the one dog token I had, left it alone. And so I rediscovered that wallet last week, and I stuck some of it into Shroom. Right here. So thank you, Ro Jogan. Appreciate that. And I didn't even realize it, but yeah, damn, that shit tripled. So I'm going to go look at that. I also picked up some of this one. Not a shill. I don't know much about it. It was just it was on that website. Somebody mentioned that all the games on this website are pumping. And I think Axis Infinity and some others were on this website. So I picked this one up. Probably somewhere through here. 10-cent area. Which is crazy, right? It's oh, I picked up at 10 cents. Dude, that's up 60%. Looks like nothing. God, I love crypto. Love and hate. Generally love. So that's another one. I have no idea what this does. Full disclosure. But it's another one of those shitters that I scooped up. What else did I put in? I put in, NFTX. This is one that I... same thing around that same time, right? Wherever it was. I did all this I don't know, somewhere, I think it was $60, $70. This one hasn't moved as much yet, but it looks like it could. Now here's an old one. This chart looks great. Not going to sugarcoat it. And I didn't load up or anything. I think I bought a decent little bag, 50 of them, but I didn't buy I'm not sweating it. I don't know what prices, don't care. Long or short term, I mean. But this is just what you want to see. Now, obviously it's it lost, lost the 88.6. I don't think that really matters. The point is it's done a very long, heavy duty retrace. And now there's buyers stepping in. There's volume picking up at the lows. So whether or not it goes up from here now, I can feel pretty confident that unless they just go out of business or something, that this is the bottom range. And that's a big range. Don't get it twisted. That's a 55% range. So buying here means you could still be bullish despite going down 55%. So me personally, I'm not going to add more here necessarily, but if we pull back down, I may fire another bullet at it. If we get a little market shakiness and we just kind of chill down here, hell yeah. Maybe I should just fire another bullet here if I can wait long enough and not really watch it that closely. Can this thing take back half that move? I bet it can. What does that look like? That's $260, which makes a lot of sense. Look here. That's kind of where we had our our major sort of, right? Support, resistance. Like, can we test that level ever again in the future? Probably. And then the crazy thing is, and it's like, as a new trader, if that's what you are, or that's definitely what I was, and in many ways, I'm in the early portion of a long, healthy career, I hope. This is the kind of thing I look at and I just say, so what's my problem then? What excuse do I have to not, be profitable if I'm going to run around and jump in and out of things over the next 5 months, and then look at some of these charts? And I'm not saying this one is like a lock, but God, I would be willing to bet that there's an 85% chance that this thing's going to end up here at some point. And so what am I doing in between this if I'm not just going to be able to buy and hold and stay disciplined? I don't know. But I've never even gone to their website. This is purely like a reshare of some people that I know that are like, NFTX, yeah, it's really, really good. Here's a dark horse, oddly, in the NFT space. It's literally called NFT. Now, I bought into the ICO of this thing when it was Block Party back in 2018. And admittedly, I don't know what they're doing. I haven't looked into them lately. They're not even here. God, it's awkward. But they pivoted to NFT protocol. Super stinky low cap, 5.2 mil. Let's go see if we can find it. And I saw that they were moving. They're like a nice little proxy to the NFT hype, right? This is, there was an airdrop. It was Block Party. Great group of guys. Partied with them in New York back in 2019. Good fun. They pivoted to NFT protocol. It reminded me a little bit of NFTX. I don't know, before NFTX was around, these guys were around and talking about doing liquidity for NFTs, and I don't know what their latest is, but it is one that I often have a soft spot for, and I think about reloading. I mean, this thing hit 4 cents, and then it hit 27 cents the other day, this month. So that's 500%. I missed that. I did offload some of my position here, obviously, because bubble. It's NFTs are hot. Let's get paid. But I would like to reload some of that, obviously, because I sold it. Some of it I managed to get out at $1. So what the hell? Buy some back. It's 12 cents. So this is one I'll be watching as well. I'd like to kind of jump into that Telegram and see how they're doing. Check in on them. What the latest is. What else are you guys looking at? I mean, there's some shit moving around here. Yeah, Max DeMarcos came in. We talked a little bit about Binance earlier, asking what do I make of the Binance news? End of an era, perhaps the beginning. I don't know that it could be the end of an era. It's certainly the end of fully unregulated, non-compliant Binance. They're clearly taking steps towards playing ball, which is probably going to age really well for them. Short term, it's going to push people to other corners of the cryptoverse where they can still operate outside of that. But eventually that grip is going to keep tightening. And I think eventually the liquidity will end up. Yeah, it's all good, Max. I think eventually the liquidity is going to end up in the compliant areas, the majority of it. Not even because the majority of the current liquidity and volume in the space will move to those things, as much as that there'll just be new liquidity and new volume coming into those places. All right, so there could be 1 million people right now using crypto, and they're going to be oh, I'm never switching to compliant KYC. It's cool, bro, because 10 to 100 million new people are going to come into the space, and they're going to be joining those exchanges. And so I think that shift will happen, and then it'll be a case of whoever's first through the door, because it does take a long time to become compliant. I'm sure there's red tape for days. And, I think first through that door is going to reap the benefits in a big way. So yeah, FTX, still very bullish on them. I think they're going to be the biggest exchange indefinitely. And what's interesting? Not to go off topic, because we were talking NFTs and some game stuff. But what's interesting? A lot of people find FTX kind of confusing. First of all, they do have a lot of spot trading, BTC pairs, all that stuff, but it's not what they're known for. The liquidity is not as much there. And for sure, I think Binance, closing some of these doors is going to help them out a lot. But Sam's even said, we designed this exchange for advanced traders. We put in advanced cross margin, all this stuff. They haven't done the design yet for the new user, and they're going to, right? They're kind of going back out. So from like they're starting with more advanced features and more difficult things that, you know, even admittedly when I got there, I was like, what the hell? Cross margin, what's that? Figured that out a couple years ago, but like, yeah, soon they're going to have more what Binance has now, which is a lot of this sort of like quick swap, easy convert, blah, blah, blah. I just want to buy Bitcoin. How do I do it? Click buy, right? I think more and more of that is going to come. And they may even just have like a newbie mode where it's just a completely different interface. I mean, the bottom line is they've got the funding and they've got the team and they've got the momentum and the endorsements. I mean, God, are we going to look back? I'm going to posture this. I'm going to put this question out there. Are we going to look back? Well, let's go with just USD. Are we going to look back in a few years and just be like, no matter what we did along the way, we're going to be like, why wasn't I longer on FTT? I feel like that's something I'm going to think to myself. I mean, like, is this where the music stops? I hate to talk uncertainties because you know me, guys. I'm all about probabilities, and I hate to be like, oh, this will happen. Like, I'm not guaranteeing shit. But anyone I talk to who's like, I don't know, man, crypto's confusing. I don't have time for that shit. I'm just like, shut up and go buy FTT and talk to me in 3 years. That's my latest sort of thing that I say, because I don't see any scenario where these guys don't continue to grow, continue to burn this token, and continue to dominate in the month over month volumes. And, like, I just don't see it. So whether it takes a little tumble first, like, oh, look at me, I'm going down. Like, whatever that looks like, up and to the right, that's like $30,000. Don't get ahead of yourself, RT. But whatever that looks like, just up and to the right for FTT is my thinking. And that's probably true for a lot of crypto, but this one just feels like one of the more sure things, doesn't it? As far as like team and being established, and literally just like the guy put $5 million into Biden's campaign. I mean, he's got all the right moves. Now they're doing, climate this and foundation that and fundraisers. They got their heart in the right place. They got Tom Brady. I don't know. So every time I talk about FTT, I feel like I need to buy a couple more and just keep chipping away at that. So you can buy it on Uniswap. That's the only place I think. Yeah, because it's a whole like non-US thing, right? It sucks for FT. So here's the good news. One of the reasons that I think FTX US and Binance US, like one of the reasons they struggle is because FTX and Binance let in most people. So as the compliant KYC stuff kind of sneaks into the space, I think those US exchanges may pick up. Or even better, shut down completely and everything can just be on FTX and US users can join. That's what full regulation probably looks like, where there's no more of this like non-US shit. The US just sets out rules, the exchanges play by them, and then they can join. That might be a couple years out, but yeah. Solana dexes is another one. Buying FTT isn't buying FTX. Yeah, you could say that, but I don't see FTX succeeding in a big way while FTT goes stagnant. Legally, I don't own any part of FTX. You're right. But the exchange token model has demonstrated that it's a very good proxy for the success of the exchange. But you're right. Technically, I'm not buying FTX. Now, I could try to go sneak into their Series A or Series B, funding round, like Kraken just did an equity raise, and Coinbase obviously just went public, and FTX has been doing some raises. But I find that shit dusty, I do. Between you and me, I actually had a shot at getting some Kraken, whatever it was, Series A, Series B during their raise. And, the minimums are extremely high. The lockups are over a year. And then the returns, which in legacy space are pretty incredible. They're like, looking like 3 to 5x in 2 years. But you got to put in, this huge amount and pay 2 and 20 management fee, like all this. I was like, I don't fuck with that. Give me a shitcoin and a 10x next month. So, yeah, I'll take the FTT. That's my exposure to FTX, and I feel good about it. Say I wouldn't leave FTT behind. No, hell no, he wouldn't. Are you kidding me? He's going to find more ways to burn it. I have no doubt. How's Messiah the Bear doing? He's beating the drums. He's beating the drums. Cash is king. So I'm saying on Twitter today. I almost wanted to say, can I mute you for a week, sir? But we'll be on here tomorrow talking that shit. And it's I don't really know. I haven't looked at his analysis lately, but it's a tricky spot to be, right? When you're bearish through here and then not long through here, it becomes hard because then the higher up you go, the more it's like, this is the top. No, this is the top. No, this is the top. And it's the exact opposite. This is the same thing we do down here, right? No, this is the bottom. No, that's it. And you lose money trying to long, and then it reverses. And so no comment on Messi and where his head is at. I did see something about 1x short ETH. Cool. Haven't looked at the ETH chart in a while, but like usually if you're bearish here, this is totally unrelated. This is like the broader psychology of the market. It's going to be really bearish down here, and then we're going to get up. If we do into this short reload zone, it's going to get really fucking bullish. And you see how that gets people into trouble? Like that's where the market participants, Max Payne shit, where it's like, we're so bearish. Oh my God, we're going to new highs. Squeeze it. Oh my God, it's a bear market. And that's where you can live through this year, have a bunch of Bitcoin, and still lose a fuckload of money. And people are like, I wish I was around in 2017, bro. It was not easy because of this, right? Buy. Oh God, I need a different color. Well, I mean, think about it. People ask, like, how do you lose money in crypto? Well, I'll tell you how. Okay, just gonna. This is literally it. Okay, I might take a stab at crypto. I might buy a little bit. Oh, we're going up. I'm going to buy a little more. Holy shit, we're crashing. Sell. Oh, I'm such an idiot. I got to buy more. Now I'm really going to lever up. Oh my God, Coinbase just went live. I'm going to new highs. Mortgage the fucking house. I'm an idiot. I lost everything. Sell a bit. Oh man, we're really going down. We're never coming back. Sell. Right? This is the psychology of the average participant, perhaps below average. Well, we always like to tease like the low IQ below average actually outperform everyone because they don't sell the dips. They just add. But that's why, right? You weren't as long down here, most people. I'm just saying, like, let's just say Joe Sixpack, like whatever random person you want to pick. You're kind of long here. You're levering up more. You're taking out loans. You're doing more risky things. You're going for it. I want to make it all this bull run. And that's usually when things start to get lazy. And then down here is where you finally usually will get just tortured and puke your shit and then buy back here and then lever up here. Markets are a sick thing, man. That's why we talk about having plans. That's why, and I stay pretty chill, guys. Look, I'm not fearless. I was not enjoying last night's price action. I refused to trade it. But after this dip, I did look at, pure balance wise. I was like, oh God, like I was away for the weekend. I felt so good about it. And I've given back like 30% of it. I'm an idiot. Like, yeah, that stuff goes through my head sometimes. But you got to have a plan and you got to really, really fucking stick to it. And if anything, last night I told myself the way I'm feeling right now, I should just buy a little more. I didn't because it wasn't part of my plan. But like, it's usually those opposite moments of, lost my train of thought there. It's like the opposite emotions. When they get really extreme, you just want to counter trade them. Sometimes it works. Yeah, I wonder how regulators around the world are going to treat derivatives platforms. Yeah, derivatives are going to be tricky. I'm really sad. Ontario now is getting banned from Binance, kicked off FTX. So I'm basically going to be in the US as far as that shit goes. So I'm going to be really struggling to find derivatives, which honestly, I probably make the most off just trading spot during good times. Like picking my spots in bull trends and trading like spot positions over swing like 6 weeks. That's probably where I've made the most. But I really want to have access to those derivatives for things like hedging, shorting. I have 2 Bitcoin. Well, I don't want to sell them here, but I would like to hedge them out. Okay, I'm going to short 2 Bitcoin on Binance. And now it's like I'm delta, like neutral, whatever you call that. So, without those, I would have to actually go and sell those 2 Bitcoin for fear of being left behind. Now it's not as good. Why is Hxro a sandbag? Well, Hxro network is being built on Solana. And Hxro also partnered with FTX back in summer 2020. So it is involved. Yeah. Well, we're partnered. I said they're partnered. Hxro Labs is technically different, but they're partnered. Yeah. How's Messiah the Bear doing? Yeah. Okay, we're catching up here. Because he's invested in it. Messi on the TL. Yeah. Nathaniel, what's up? Coach Papa Vic. Well, I'm just trying to make that connection. Thanks for clearing that up. Yeah, no problem. I mean, it's all public info. It's not like but you would have missed it if you didn't see the news last summer. Do you think Bitcoin could be $40,000 again? Yep, I do. The question is the path, right? It's like Rob likes to talk about path risk. He's like, yeah, along the way, and this is why leverage is so dangerous. Along the way, path risk can be really dangerous. You say, well, yeah, Bitcoin's going to hit 100K someday. Cool. If I want to go stick one in a wallet and hold it, then it doesn't really matter when it happens. I can just say it might. It will. But if I'm levered up, if I'm trading an option, if I have a call option for a certain date, then the path risk increases, right? I could get stopped out before or liquidated before it hits the price. And that, my friends, is the ultimate tricky thing, is timing and picking direction. So if I say, and this is why hodlers, are such proud people, and they should be. It's not easy to hold. I think we all found that out through here. A lot of people are like, I'll just hold. Well, it's not easy. The market will convince you to sell. But that's why a lot of people will just hold. They'll be like, look, I'm so convinced, and everything I'm seeing year over year convinces me more that the initial thesis that Bitcoin will be some ridiculously high price someday. More and more that thesis seems to be becoming truer and truer. So like there's a lot of people out there who all they do is stack sats. Oh, I get paid this much per month. I'm going to stick $500 or $50 in per month. Like just keep stacking, because next generation, it'll just be like, oh, those guys bought Bitcoin in the 2020s. Back when it was below $1 million. Ooh. Like that's the future a lot of people see. Personally, it's kind of what I see too. But I'm a trader, so I don't just hodl. I've been through a bear market. I refuse to let the market have its way with me. So, I try to find timing to get in and out at different times and make more money than straight holes. It's a goddamn tough task, guys. Let's take a look. Yes, FTT's on Serum and Radium too. Somebody said over on TradingView. That is absolutely correct. So there are a few ways to, get that coin. Look, it's not going to be the flashiest one. There's going to be other multi-X's quicker than this. For me, it's more like the probability is so high. And then, of course, this is log, so it doesn't look as aggressive, but we're on a pretty aggressive pullback right now. So could it go lower? Sure. But I am buying it if I bought it today, for example. And again, I don't care if you guys buy this. It's not like it does nothing for me for anyone else. I'm not shilling this, but I'm just saying 52% off. So I can buy it right now for 52% less than quite a few people bought it for, not so long ago. I think so that's what I did. I averaged in the last couple weeks, mid 20s, 25, 26, 27. And I'd like to pick more up. So the reason I'm not all in here with the amount I might want to buy is because I'm half wondering if it does drop. Or if it doesn't, and it confirms this, then that's your bullish market structure breakout, and then I can get a little more aggressive in the low 30s once there's a new trend confirmed. So that's my thinking. But that's not it, right? I've got a few in the sand basket. I've got a lot of dusters that just don't look good. I mean, this does not look good. This is a downtrend. And I think the ICO or the IDO price of this was like 12 cents. So I am fully expecting to get cut in half here. So that's why I wrote last week in the background while the other guys were talking, waiting for something like this. Anywhere that happens, whether it happens, way down here, up here, whatever, waiting for that is probably the better play. But again, between all the other trading I'm doing, I decided to just kind of go and buy a certain amount of all my SAM tokens and just move them on to Blockfolio. They get like whatever 5-6%, and I'm just gonna whatever. If this isn't gonna age well someday, well, I guess I'll lose money. but I think it will. And they all look so similar, right? Ray. So again, 1.8% of my portfolio into these as a group, like total. So like whatever that is, 0.03 each. And I will take another 1.8 or so, maybe next month if we go lower, a little sooner if we go higher and it looks like a trend reversal. But I really like them. I don't see any time where, like earlier this year, obviously we had sort of a SAM rally, right? That was Radium going ham. Another one I really like is Maps. Can we talk about Maps for a sec? Maps came out hot. Now it's going to find its floor. Doesn't look like it has found its floor yet, but I did start my average in last week because it's just like, well, it's cheaper than it's ever been. But like, I'm really not one for like buying into downtrends. But again, it's dollar cost average. It's small fries, and I'm just gonna work my way through this, whatever it takes. But go to the Maps website. It's okay. Fuck it. We'll go to the Maps website. 555. It's like my lucky number. That's the current market cap rank. Now, so Maps 2.0, ultimate travel companion, passport to the new financial system. So Maps.me is an app apparently already. And so now it's like they're building sort of a finance side to it on Solana. Oh, Luke Reeves says it's total garbage. Well, that kind of shits all over what I was going to say, Luke Reeves. Thanks. Well, I'm just looking at it from a speculative point of view. I don't need a Maps app. But when I see an app has 140 million installs, 60 million yearly average users, and that they're then going to integrate a token and DeFi Robinhood. Basically, it's like they've just got this massive user base, and now they're sticking a token into it, and not just like a shitty utility token that doesn't do anything. It's a revenue share token. Right, so 100% of the revenues from whatever this app generates, but I'm assuming it'll have some, go back to Maps holders. So do I want to buy a bunch and stake it and I think that's going to make me so much money? No. But do I like that speculative story that they have that kind of like 100 million users, 60 yearly average? That's a lot. That's a lot. So there. Alex says the app is great. Thank you, Alex. Rude Luke. Kobe turned down pre-sale. That's cool, man. He's turned down a lot. And you know what? I've turned down a lot of pre-sales that ended up doing great. And I think 3 Arrows Capital has turned down a lot of really good ones. In fact, saw something on Twitter the other day. They passed on like, I don't know, FTX or something. Either way, people turn down pre-sales all the time. It doesn't mean too much to me. I turned one down, turned down 3 this year that like 20x'd. So yay. But it's good info. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know about the app. I haven't used it. I'm not here to use the app. I'm here to see how many users are going to use the app, what kind of revenues that will generate, and then what kind of value underlying that token may be. I mean, let's look at Axis. What is the hype with Axis right now? Axes Infinities. In a nutshell, the hype that's driving this thing absolutely insane, aside from like the tokenomics with like locking up in the treasury from breeding Axes, it's the revenues. It's the month over month user growth, which by the way is still under millions. It's not even in the millions yet, as far as I know. It was like 300K a few weeks ago. So when we look then go back to Maps, it's like, 60 million users. Can that get a fraction of this kind of revenue? Because it's the revenue behind this thing that's making everyone so wet or hard, as it were. So anyways, that's my thinking here. Again, I'm not balls deep. I think I put in like, very small amount to this, but I am averaging into this thing because it just has the staying power for me, in my opinion. We get a Solana rally, we get a SAM rally, the users are there. We'll see. Yeah, I'd have to, I don't know. I didn't plan this thing. I don't plan this to be like, I know all the answers from apps. So people like, oh, well, what's the purpose of the app? I haven't even used the app. Now I think to myself, all these good questions you guys are asking, maybe I should use the app. See if it's actually good. But if 60 million people use it average on yearly, like, it's probably all right. Just maybe very presumptuous, but I'm sure there's things that 60 million people do a year that I would never do. So, like bath salts. So let's be aware. I did bust out the Trendmaster, which is a little indicator that I picked up a few years ago. It was $200 lifetime. I don't know. I'm not affiliated with them, not selling it, but that's what it's called, and I am going to give them a shout out if I'm using it on stream because they made it. Trendmaster.io, should give them a proper shout out. So it's just it's a cool little system. It's kind of this idea of like breakout candle, and then if the next candle breaks the high of that candle, or one of the next ones does, then you say that, you know, the trade is active and it's a trend trade, and you enter here and you risk to the bottom of the green, and then you basically just ride it until you get this reversal candle. And then these lines are like trailing stops. So every time it puts in this certain little fractal, it'll give you a new stop loss. So it's a cool, I've never actually traded the system, but what I do like is on their Discord, they have screeners that essentially, actually let me take a picture because it's really hard to describe, but it's pretty cool. It saves me some time as a trader. Let me find it. Let's say Binance USDT pairs. No. BTC pairs. Yeah. So let's do this. Let's do this. Nope. Okay. I don't know how to copy paste a picture onto the internet. Oh, there we go. Dang it. You can see that? Okay. So that's kind of like what it spits out on the Discord. And so every 4 hours or whatever time frame you choose, right? It'll just give you like, ooh, a new AA downtrend just fired, or a new AAA uptrend just fired. So that's why I like it. Anyways, I started using it again lately. And one of the things it does, for example, if I'm like buying sushi here and then I see like some nasty shit on the 1 or 4 hours, well, I just kind of come back here and I remind myself, oh, we're just still in the uptrend. So it does help me in that sense. I like that. And as you can see, sometimes, you know, sometimes markets trend. And so that breakout candle and the little signal after that fires gets you in. This would have knocked you out, but it keeps you in for the whole bloody trend. And if you catch it on the weekly, it's a much more rare signal, but it's even stronger. So let's see what, let's take a look around at this for a little bit. We get the weekly. The Bitcoin weekly does not look bullish. That's a stark reminder that the trend is down, and even all this little shit is just a retest of that midpoint. Not great. The 3-day still, yesterday it was purple, so we might have a little breakout candle on the 3-day, which is nice. It's what I would expect to see pretty soon, because this has been a pretty nasty move up in a good way. The daily has just started trending up, and so this is the time frame I am trading my Bitcoin on now. And for lack of local invalidations and all this other shit, I decided that for the sake of the longs I'm in now, I'm just going to use this as my invalidation. 32K. If we trade back below that, I am ready to sideline back like that recent spot, which is okay. Like, I think my average entry was around 33. So that's actually a decent stop loss, and we'll see where this trend goes, right? There are fake outs right here. This technically didn't fire because it didn't close above that wick. So this wouldn't have cost me any money if I was just blindly trading this, but yeah. Appreciate it. Over on TradingView, Razak Forever. Sorry, I butchered your name, but he says, thanks for the stream. Cheers. Polkadot. Yep. Great potential, worth a look. Yeah, we should keep an eye on Polkadot. It was so bullish this year. And it's just quiet. It's like the sleeping giant. I still think it'll be great. What is the purpose of maps? Yeah. Oh shit, we're going back now. Solana breaking down BTC. You know what? I'm bullish on Solana. I did not load up yet. So, interestingly, yeah, it does look like shit versus Bitcoin. Like, it just looks terrible. I don't care how bullish you are on it, how big it's going to be, who's behind it. Gravity is gravity. Whales are whales. And they without fail, they will step in more at these reload zones and not up here. Because it's like I always say, right? If you're bullish on something, there's only one thing you want more than more coins, is you want more cheap coins. So if you know, if I'm a predatory whale making lower highs on this chart, and I know I can shake out a certain amount of people and take my sweet time because I'm thinking 7 years down the road that I just want to be like a 4% of the Solana network holder or whatever. I'm in no rush. And that's what we started the stream talking about, was this kind of, you know, Bitcoin dominance story. So yes, the market may come back, and yes, Bitcoin may do really well, and I think that I think it's going to take a lot of dominance back too. And so Solana USD might end up doing well, but Solana Bitcoin, you know, this one looks a little more ready. It's like it's already touched the reload zone 4 times. It's definitely, but like, yeah, Solana looks like shit. So like short term. So yeah, which is, I'm okay with that. I did average in my first bag as part of my sandbasket last week. Again, 1.8% total exposure to that whole basket. So like I haven't rebought like an 8 bag. And it's hard for me up here, man. I was, you know, at the start of the summer, you can check our ideas section on TradingView. I mean, we were loading up start of the year. I mean, down here at $3 and $2, $4. Like, so it's hard for me here to then, after exiting that trade, it's hard for me to like really want to load up at $27 Solana. Even though I think $100 seems like a pretty good target. Let's actually see what the, oh God, what is this doing? Let's go see what the fib extension. I think I already have it on there. Nope, it's up here. Oh God. Wow. Log chart fib extension points to $700 Solana. Well, maybe I need to be more creative in my thinking, but like 100, it already went to friggin' 58. So 100 to me seems like a lock. Someday. And there were some people, you know, I saw some comments online about like, I haven't heard of Bless. No, Michael G. Be curious though. There were some people talking about how it's like not usable, it's not user friendly. And originally the Solana Explorer was extremely difficult to understand earlier this year. And I went on it recently when I was loading up this little basket, and it's kind of like Soul Scan now. I think. Let's see. Yeah. There. Boom. It's a lot more like Etherscan now. So, and that makes sense, right? They've kind of like Ethereum, you know, you click on a transaction, it's going to be a lot more user friendly. So I'm not too worried about that. I think it's still very beta. I think it's going to change a lot. And I wouldn't worry too much about any kind of that fudge shit where it's like, brr, they're so confusing, not user friendly. It's like, well, I feel like ETH got a lot more user friendly in the last, you know, however many years. It was slow, poopy, and expensive for a long time. Okay. Matt says, any opinion on the Tether FUD and stablecoin regulation? You know, I'm a little unqualified to speak on the stablecoin stuff. I'll tell you this: I don't care about Tether FUD. You know, worrying about Tether FUD has been the most negative EV bet since I've been in crypto. I've been on this rant before, but okay, TLDR, walking away from Solana here, needs more time. It needs more time. It's trending down, and I can't wait to get it as cheap as possible, and it's just not yet. But yeah, Tether FUD, look, there was a lot of shit being thrown at it in 2017. I have a theory that Bitfinex account, the one that was like 50,000 tweets all geared towards FUDding Bitfinex and Tether, you know, that must have been a paid FUD account. Like, it had to be. And there's just no way like a human puts that much time into one topic out of the blue for that amount of time, all mysteriously right at the top. And as a user, my experience was, we'll come back to the charts in a sec, but just so we're not staring at a random chart. But my experience as a user was like, oh my God, you know, I'm up because it's like late 2017. I don't really want to pay tax because we're in a bull market and things look like they're going higher. So I don't want to cash out. I don't really want to go into Tether because all of this FUD and it could disappear and there's no backing. And so I think that campaign of FUD really heated up intentionally around the time when it would have been most opportune for people to be in Tether. Tether outperformed everything from December 2017, or I should say January 2017 until really like mid 2019, early 2020. So is it mysterious that we were all told not to touch it during that period of time? And whatever ended up happening to them, well, it was like a slap on the wrist or no findings. Or like, by the way, they have a lot of money. And what do we know about people and entities with a ton of money who break the law? They just pay a fine. So that's my 2 cents. I'm not really too worried about it. I mean, what was it? JP Morgan was caught laundering money and had a ship that they were basically funding that just had like mountains of cocaine on it, and they paid like a $900 million fine and just moved on. Oh no. JP Morgan's going out of business. Nope. It's just not really how it works. So I'm not too worried about them. But caveat emptor, I always keep my stablecoins balanced. I would hate to have all of them in one. The one that I'm not worried about at all is USDC. So if you're worried about that, switch over to that. One transaction's usually really liquid on Binance. But yeah, not, And then the question is like, okay, well, what if it is... what if it is going down? What if it is going to get fucked up? Well, maybe. But all I know is objectively, since I've been in crypto, waiting on Tether FUD to tank the market has been a losing bet. And I tweeted that yesterday, actually. I was like, there's still somebody somewhere who is sitting out of crypto waiting for it to collapse because of Tether FUD. Well, they've been waiting since 2017. And tell me if they've been missing out. Probably. So, okay. Let's get back to this hot mess of a chart here that I apparently put a big dirty squiggly on. This is sort of something I could see for ETH BTC. This is what I was talking about with Messi. Let's look objectively before we get to... oops. Let's just look at what it says. It says that price made a high. Let's get that volume on there. Yep. Yeah. Price made a high, not new highs in volume that year, but new highs, and then came up, made another high up in that little short reload zone of itself, and then it tanked, and it broke that low. It made a lower low, so high, low, lower high, lower low, trend reversal confirmed. That's what that is. Now, it doesn't mean that it can't chop and just reverse again, right? There's never a guarantee here, but when I see that, it's like, oh, we're in a downtrend now on the weekly. And so we didn't even make it up to test this breakdown level that I was hoping. That was my short squeeze objective. I was trying to get short there, but we got front run by the 0.5. We'll call it the dump chaser zone right in here. So it didn't even have, it closed right at the 382, and now we're just moving down. So if Bitcoin's going to get bullish here, I think this ratio suffers, and that could look like the pump chaser zone through here. Livermore cylinder, I don't know if those retest but it is a trend line. I'm sure someone will be long there, so it'll have a bounce. But down through that, and that's that squiggly I had drawn. And that's not all that bad, guys. Remember, you want to see nature heal. You want to see us get into the pumps, the mega pumps. Then what you really need. And let's just pick on Solana, because Solana might be one of the last ones to fall here, because it held on. It looked so strong through all this muck. Some, like where a lot of coins had already just come into here. Look at Solana. So you may want to look for Solana to be that proxy for like, are we done yet? For the Bitcoin blood pairs. So why is that good? Well, first of all, yes, we all want this tomorrow. Assuming you have a bag, right? But markets don't work that way. If you want evidence of that, just look historically, right? We got all the way to here, but first we had to go to here and go all the way back down to here, because there's no free lunch. And this is where we are compelled to buy, and this is where we are compelled to puke our bags, and this is where we are compelled to buy back, and this is where we are compelled to puke our bags. When I say we, I mean average Joe retail traders sitting in our living rooms or basements or offices. You can move, the money that moves the markets, they will just torture us. And so to really get to new highs, to come up there with some power, with some oomph, you want to see that. I want to see that anyways. I want to see that full retrace. I want to see that full consolidation. I want to know there's no weak hands left. And once those whales are loaded up, once they've got the amount of the supply that they need, once they know they've bought up, it's kind of sell me all you will and then fuck off. Then they're moving and they want to pump their bags. So what are they going to do? They're going to pump their bags. They're going to put in positive news cycles. They're going to start buying it up at key levels to make sure that it keeps breaking out. They're going to FOMO in the public. And then there's going to be this like rush to the buying zone from all the people who had sold it previously or just totally new people. And then we'll look for signs of exhaustion up near the new highs. And that will be when we pay ourselves as traders. We got to start to spot this shit. So, or we might even just wait until it has a big stinky dump and then exit our position on the short reload zone of that. Right? There's ways that we can capture this, guys. So all that to say, this is Bitcoin pair. So if you want to see a big stinky bull market for the second half of this year, there's a pretty good chance Bitcoin has to lead it. And all these pairs have to shit out. And as soon as Bitcoin is like the best thing since sliced bread and it's up near some ridiculous number, it'll roll over and rotate into this shit. And we're going to be all so stinky rich. That's what I hope. So with that said, let's take a look at the Dixie. The Dixie is rolling over right where it needs to. Not a goddamn inch higher, you son of a bitch. Don't want to see a bear market right now. And if this thing breaks off into this, we're probably just going to have a bear market for nostalgia's sake. Whales will all get together and be like, fuck it, guys, let's just dump it. We'll buy back lower. I really want to see the Dixie fail here. You don't want to see it confirm this big fat W. So let's all put a little prayer circle together and hope that the US dollar loses relative strength to everything else currency-wise, because that's a nice signal for crypto to move higher, for risk on to stick around. And there's other ways to look at it where it looks even more bearish. So let's make it look as bearish as possible. Look at me, I'm a rising wedge at resistance on failing volume and momentum. Well, I don't know about momentum, but or volume, but the momentum fell off here. Right, MACD basically was already negative as it went higher. The RSI totally puking out as it went higher. And so you get a rising wedge into resistance on failing momentum, and then you break down. That looks really good if you want it to go down. Which means, I actually hadn't looked at this today. That looks really good. And because here's the thing, that's like a pretty high time frame. That's like a daily. So what does this look like? A gap. Not your usual gap where it's like an actual gap, but like it's like a stilt. And these tend to get filled in. They really like getting filled in. And we've got our fib pong. We've got our consolidation. So next stop, probably this trend line. But eventual stop, And then maybe that's that. Or maybe it's this. But I could see this fib pong coming in now. Which means this could be Q4. I mean, oof. This looks good. This could be, whatever this looks like. But that's like the rest of our year. So if we spend the rest of the year in here, crypto pretty much has a green light to have fun. So let's hope it does. And fuck it. Maybe it'll go lower. Maybe they'll print more money. Delta variant. Rah! We need $6 trillion. Print it. Bitcoin value relative goes up. So everything I'm talking about here makes me want to keep hunting for long exposure to Bitcoin. It is trickier up here. If I owned none and I puked it all out down here, I'd be really uncomfortable right now. Let's put it that way. And the whole world is probably thinking, well, we'll just get these range highs and I'll rebuy them. So this is a very crowded trade. So if I'm waiting for that, I better front run myself. I don't want to be like buying the exact range high, because if that trade is going to come in, it probably will never touch that. Just like it didn't quite touch this 382, which is a subtle little hint. God, I get myself so fired up when I talk about this stuff. Like I'm like walking around today like, oh, I wonder if it's going to go up or down. And now I'm sitting here like, I'm such a ball. Can be risky though. Don't be too strong on your conviction. Yeah, Nathan D. Paula says, U.S. debt ceiling and government recess is more worrisome to me. Any thoughts on buying? Yeah. Laura Tan, we talked about that. KYC How will that be one of the biggest exchanges affect crypto as a whole? You know what, Laura Tan, in a nutshell, we talked about it twice now. Thanks for coming, by the way. Great to have you. I think short term, it could cause some volatility in the sense of people moving to DEXs, moving to other exchanges. But long term, the big FU money that's out there in the world, they need and want compliant exchanges to trade on and KYCs and all that. So it's actually long-term bullish, maybe even mid-term bullish. Short-term, I don't know. I don't think it really matters, you know. But I think it sucks. You know, I usually am KYC'd on Binance, but the exchange, the account I'm using now is not, because I was in the process of redoing it. And so yeah, 0.06 Bitcoin doesn't give me a whole lot to work with. Not great, but trust me, there's more money wanting compliance and KYC than there is not. And it's that $50 trillion is not in crypto yet. So let's bring them in. Tetherfud, easily the biggest nothing burger of all time. Yep. It's like, you know what it is? It's like the tool of it's like a whale tool. It's like, let's tell them Tether's okay so we can pump the price. Oh shit, let's tell them it's a scam so we can dump it. I mean, it's all so stupid. And yes, Roscoe, I agree. The corruption is sickening. Sometimes feel helpless to stop it, so we just got to figure out how to work around it or work with it. I know that's such a cop-out, but I'm a trader, not a humanitarian. Not yet. If I can hit a certain level and make it, I'm going to get out there in the world and really make some positive changes in person. USDC almost went bankrupt, by the way. Oh, okay, good to know. Didn't disclose it till the issue was fixed. Okay, K Crypto says, watch your USD sea bags. I'd be very curious to hear more about that. I think the best answer is for people that are like, what about this? What about that? You know, USDC, USDT. Just spread out your risk, right? I don't put more than 25% of my holdings in any one wallet or any one stablecoin. I will go over 25% on something like Bitcoin, you know, Ethereum, assets, whatever. But when it comes to like a stablecoin or a wallet or an exchange, I don't go over 25%, or at least I really try not to. And that way you kind of, you know, you don't want to lose 25% ever, but you at least cap yourself out at not getting wiped out by any one black swan. Yeah, now we're getting into some nitty gritty. Says, how does USDC lose value? I don't know. As far as I know that they're backed and audited and whatever. But K Crypto says they almost went bankrupt. So I don't know. I feel like that's the kind of comment that needs a link or a source. It's a pretty heavy statement. Yeah, CVX bag. Yeah, I still have my CVX bag. Let's go see. How's it doing? I feel like it's going to roll over, to be honest. But that's just a feeling. Yeah, there it goes. Has been rolling over. I'll tell you why. And I almost traded this. Like I almost was like, I'll just sell it for now. It's pretty much back down to my entry. That's annoying. So it's probably going to retrace here. And, you know, I'm getting my staking, but so is other people. And there's apparently like, you know, there's inflation and CRV whales and all this. But we're just coming up into that resistance level. So I loved the pump last week. It's actually why I bought it. It's a little weird. Let's get thicker. So I picked it up on the pullback from this wick. It was like Tetranode or somebody just buying a huge stupid amount. I bought that pullback pretty much where price is right now. Felt pretty good about myself the next day. And I'm staking it and just holding it. It does look like it wants to bottom in this range. Moving averages are converging. Good cross, bullish on the daily. But yeah, what do you know about CVX? Fat Bear Div on the S&P. Yeah, dude, those things have been there forever. I'll tell you what, the S&P has been in like a rising wedge since I was born. I just don't chart this thing. Look at this fucking thing. It's a weekly. So there's our March 2020. You know, let's go to a monthly. Fuck it. There's your 2008. And there's your .com bubble. There's me being born. So I don't know. I teased that it's been in like it's just in this monstrous parabolic move, and yes, that they do tend to end pretty poorly, but it could be in like 10 years or one day. So I don't know. Let's take a look. I've tried to chart this thing a few times where I'm like, ooh, look, there's a setup, and it's a short. It's always a short setup because the fucking thing doesn't stop going up. There's just always divergences. It's like bearish divergence. Whoop, makes new highs, bearish divergence, bearish divergence, bearish divergence, bearish divergence. And then they dump, reset the momentum indicators, and then keep going. And of course, every time this dump happens, everyone thinks it's the end. The end, the end, the end. I'm, in a weird way, like, I'm glad I don't trade the S&P. I'll fuck with some stocks, but this just is awful. At least crypto has cycles. We can buy reload zones and, you know, sell fib extensions. This thing's just like, oh, just up by the dip. I don't know. Not my, as you guys can hear listening to me, it's not really my bread and butter. But yeah, I wouldn't sweat the bear divs. You know, like the one that'll hit won't make me back the 50 that I got busted on. And one will hit, and it'll probably hit so big someday, and we'll all be in deep shit, and then the amount of money we made off it won't even matter. Do you have an opinion about the guaranteed lock DeFi, the more stay fiscal on Binance? I don't know what that danger means. I don't. Unfortunately, I don't know about that question on TradingView. You'd have to ask around. You could try it on DeltaFi tomorrow, maybe. 4 p.m. we'll be on. You ever staked crypto? Yeah. Yeah, so for the first time in a long time, I decided to stake some Convex token here. So we'll see. You know, for now it's just staking. I'm getting a yield. But if it's bottomed here, I think that yield will pay off. If it just keeps like shitting out into like the $1 range, then the staking rewards won't add up to the losses I'll realize on the token. So, you know, but I didn't go too ham. So yeah. And it's not like I shopped for 100 different things to stake and this is the best one. This is just one that I got shilled on pretty well, and you know, CRV and Messi talked about it. I think Messi's bullish on this one, but he's kind of in this like I'll buy it cheaper mode. So he's like bullish but bearish. So I don't think he has any yet, but anyways, I'm in it. I'm in it for the long haul. I'm a community member now. Yeah, the true up only. And then DAI. Yeah, DAI also had some trouble at one point, I think, but they're also there. So just spreading out across stablecoins. Guys, look, yeah, I think the one thing you have to realize is there's no perfectly safe thing. There's no, like, anywhere, right? That's why you're like, well, why are people buying negative yielding bonds, right? Where it's like, I'm going to buy this contract, essentially, this bond, that will net me minus 1% over 10 years. Why the hell would someone invest in that? Well, it's because that's guaranteeing them, at least, presumably, that in 10 years they will have only lost 1%. And sometimes shit gets so wacky that, like, think about it. If you're super wealthy, like, your one goal is to, like, not lose everything. Yeah, you want to make some money, but you want to guarantee you never go broke. What are you going to buy? You're going to buy some gold. You're going to buy some oil. You're going to buy some this. You're going to have exposure to that. You're going to have exposure to this. And so, point being, you know, there is some risk in everything you sit in. And very smart, very advanced people can find you a really nicely hedged portfolio that will average with everyone else or whatever. But DAI, USDC, USDT, none of them are perfectly 100% safe. You have to assume some level of risk. So what can we do? Well, we can spread ourselves out. So USDC, USDT, there's other ones, right? TUSD, like there's 10 different stable coins. Now, weirdly, I think having my funds on FTX, where you have sort of that USD and then it's like a whole bunch of stable coins all mixed together, I feel pretty safe about that. Call me crazy. I feel really good about that. I don't feel like there's much risk there at all, other than my account being hacked or whatever, you know, like me losing access to that. But so that's actually one of my safer feeling plays. But if you need to sit in stables and you don't know each one, then just admit that you don't know it, because none of us do. Some perhaps a little more transparent than others, and then spread out. Put 20% here, 20% there, 20% here. Yeah, so we're getting into the mud here, guys. We've gone through quite a few charts today. Bitcoin has broken out a high time frame downtrend on the RSI. It is approaching overbought. So if it cools off into this sort of rangy Q, maybe even tickling down into that 33 area, I have to be thinking about taking a long shot, like, you know, looking long because of that broader trend breakout on the momentum indicator. It's not like every time the RSI does something, I will take a trade, but this one to me seems significant. That's like tag, breakout. And not a little breakout. It's a very strong breakout. So was it just fueled by short squeeze and now that resets? But I'm seeing negative funding rates, which tells me there's still a lot of shorts to squeeze. So yeah, TLDR, I am most bullish on Bitcoin dominance-wise right now. I am not rushing in to sell or trade my Bitcoin off to any other asset. If I am long on another asset, like SNX, bought a bag of SNX. Let's go see that one. We didn't talk about that one today. Where is it? Fuck it, we'll do it on the Trendmaster. SNX. This one doesn't look as good on the daily. Damn it. Well, I didn't take the trade on the Trendmaster, but if I did it on the 3-day, yeah, nope. So, yeah, it doesn't look as good here. But where is it? Where's the good looking one? This is the trade I took. And what's interesting is actually this is also why I stopped using the Trendmaster for so long, because the way I trade is to try to buy the trend reversal, not the breakout of the trend. So that's really more of a trend trading system, and it's great during a bull market where everything's breaking out. You can be like, "Ooh, what's the next one to break out on volume?" And then the screener will tell you. But the way my setups work, it's like sliding in, you know, momentum flips, breakout, buy the retest, and during this retest, very rarely is any kind of breakout indicator saying like bull. So it's actually probably good that the SNX is not triggered yet. So, anyways, yeah, this is my one of my setups right now that I'm working on. Should also take a look at Lit. Lit looks lit. It did last a couple weeks ago when I picked it up, and it does right now. So that's another one that I'm working on, just because I saw some volume bubbling up, you know, kind of SR flip down here, local reload zone. Why not? Let's take a risk. Big fat stop loss though, like 32%. So it's not like too big a position, but it's all good. And, you know, maybe pretty soon I can slide it up a little bit to 20% or something. For now, it's at the lows. That's it. I think that's all I got today, guys. Not bad with no impermanent loss. Fourth chart, souls around 8%. Yeah, so we'll see. I mean, I have to look at CVX. Honestly, I look at this chart and I just think, okay, like we're just trending down. Maybe it was premature. You know, do I reduce my size even, just stake a little bit? Because it is yielding, whatever. I'll have some more coins. But yeah, I don't love that view of it. I would much rather, in a way, be like, you know, waiting for the trend reversal. So right now we have a low, we have a lower high, we have a lower low, we have a lower high. You know, could we come in here and then I need to see it stop and break that level? So really the trend reversal confirms if price gets back above here. I might actually flip out and wait for that. Because the alternative is it doesn't do that, and then I can buy back whatever I sell maybe today or tomorrow. Like maybe I do get it down sub $1. I don't know. But really the signal that this volume and all this stuff is actually going to be a trend reversal, that signal doesn't come until price goes back above $4. So we'll see. Echo Mienda, good to see you, man. You've been on here a lot. Always asking people to smash that like button. I appreciate that, brother. If you guys haven't already and you want to, you can check us out on DeltaFi tomorrow, Wednesdays at 3 p.m. We get the full panel on, hopefully tomorrow. I haven't confirmed with them, but it's usually the full panel. Rob, Messiah, Dan, Gunny, as he likes to be called, the founders of Hxro, and yeah, you can hit the sub. Notifications will let you know when we're going live. I'll be back on next week with them as well, but also later on the Friday, possibly even the Tuesday. We'll see. I'm going to go check out Trias. Last one. It says it's on KuCoin, so let's see. Should be here. There we go. Oh. Does look good. Does look good. I mean, it. At first glance, it's just like something I like to buy location-wise, down in the dirty dirties. Then you got to find out if it's down here dying or down here, oversold and coming back to life. Volume is picking up a little bit. Not a lot, but that's a subtle signal. Somebody's stepping in here. What is this thing? Test 555. Ooh, getting all the love today from Encomienda. Appreciate it. Appreciate it a lot. Come on here sometimes. Even if I'm having a bad day, some days you're just like, oh, I'm having a bad day, but I'm going to go see everybody. I'm not having a bad day today, by the way, but just saying. When y'all give me the shouts and the love, it does mean a lot. This looks pretty good, dude. I mean, if I knew about this project and I'm like, ooh, I'm bullish on this project, this is around the range where I'm like, oh, this is where you load up. Like, this is where you go long on the thing you like. I don't have much context for this. It is kind of coming up into local resistance, so it might not be like the exact moment to be rushing the gate. But if it can break that level, then they'll probably retest it. And if it can't break that level, you might get a local reload zone. Something like that. And then you can risk, I could risk to these lows. Like, yeah, there's some room here to get in. This exact moment is not the spot. You got to have, that entry, this entry. This entry tends to age poorly on the whole, like in the short term. Yeah. Yeah. No, I'm with you, man. Cheers to better days than the last. I mean, look, guys, this is exciting. I know it doesn't feel like it, but this market is a sleeping giant, and it's not even really sleeping. I mean, look what Bitcoin did this year. It did well. Well, I don't know about this year. It's basically at the yearly open, but like, look what Bitcoin is doing. It's moving. It's moving up and to the right. It's just taking its sweet time, and it's it's not in a rush for anybody, and it's gonna shit your pants along the way. Bring a change of clothes if you want to trade this shit. But if you want to hodl, like me, with part of my bags, and then trade some, this thing has done nothing but go up and to the right since it existed. And everything I see fundamentally tells me that Bitcoin is not only going to stick around, but grow in network size, in network value. So how can I not be excited to work here and chill here and learn here and trade here every single day? I just get fired up. I get fired up, and at the same time, I feel you guys' pain, bro. Let me give one piece of advice here. Because no matter how much you make in trading, and this is why a lot of people didn't cash out in May, because you get to a level, you see someone else somewhere, and you're like, oh, I want to get to that level, or I want to get all the way this time. I don't want to capture these gains and then, buy back into the next bear or whatever. But here's my advice, and it helps me a lot, and I don't even do it all the time yet, is be, how do I put this? Make sure to focus on what you have and a lot of where you came from, and then where you're headed. Try to zoom out. Have a longer term goal. Trying to make quick money is the best way to make no money, to lose money. And so one of the things that helps me is, for example, I'm in a much better place than I was 4 years ago when I discovered crypto. I'm not in as good a place as I was 2 months ago. I am not nearly at the place where I want to be to feel like I'm done, to feel like I'm secure and locked. But I'm not seeking that, because I realize that that's going to be an elusive target. That's going to be like, general wealth in general, right? You get to 1 million, you want to get to 10, you want to get to 100. And then you're thinking, oh, I want to get my family to a 10, and I want to get everyone else to 100. It never ends. And so I'm going to shout out Matthew McConaughey, who's got one of my favorite motivational mashups. I posted on Twitter the other day. You can check it out. It's like from last week. And, find joy in the doing, in the journey, in the getting there. If you can turn the daily doing into something that you just enjoy, feels good, whether that's working out, whether that's interacting with people, find joy in the doing instead of the outcomes. And you will enjoy the ride more, and you'll probably enjoy better outcomes in the end too. So keep your heads up. The market is moving. It is moving up. It is moving up relatively fast. And you know, we just got to keep our head on a swivel. Don't get too locked into big decisions. You know, oh, is it all in day? Is it all out day? That's where you start not enjoying the doing, the daily doing. That's where shit gets really stressful. So let's stay to it. We'll be back on tomorrow. I'm not even going too far away right now, but it is a see you later, guys. Have a wonderful evening. I'll be back on here tomorrow with the fellas on DeltaFi at 4 p.m. Whatever you do between now and then, always play from a position of strength, guys. Take care. Thanks for coming out today.